Hi guys and welcome back. Today I am working on a watercolor painting and I'm going to talk about a topic that I am really excited about because it's totally reinvigorated watercolors for me over the past couple of months, weeks. But first off, I do want to say that the artwork for this piece is actually going to be available as a print at my shop, so if you'd like to own that, there's a link down in the description that'll take you over there. And of course the original is also going to be up at my art shop as well. You can find both those links down below. But yeah, let's just jump right in. Let's start talking about some watercolor techniques. So the past couple of months I've found that working with watercolors had gotten less enjoyable. And it felt entirely physical. It wasn't that I wasn't feeling it or that I was just having general artist block of not really connecting with it. It just, the actual tactile feeling of putting brush to paper and using the watercolors just wasn't feeling good anymore. And I wasn't really sure why. And then I was working on a hot press piece of paper a little while ago, and I remembered that during one of my Inktobers, I realized that when I use more water on the hot press paper, it allows me to control it better. I could get smoother washes, and I really enjoyed that. And I remembered to use that in that piece, and then it hit me that I think is what was the issue with my normal watercolors on cold press paper. I was kind of shocked when I realized that, because it was a certain technique that was drilled into my head when I was taking my watercolor class back in college. That was one of the first things that we learned, was how to control the water and how much water to use. And by water, I mean the paint and the water mixture. And when it hit me, it was so eye-opening, and immediately I knew that's what it was. I had somehow retrograded into just struggling through basically dry brushing my paintings. I was constantly struggling with needing to dip my brush into my paint over and over and over again, to the point that it was super tedious. I was struggling to get these nice even washes. I was struggling where certain areas would dry out while I was trying to get a full wash on a complicated area, and it was really frustrating. So there was a lot of these issues that started cropping up, probably a lot more than a couple months ago. I think that's just really when I started noticing it. And I think it's just one of those things where certain habits can start to develop and they're not always good. And this one was a bad art habit where I started getting lazy with the technique that I use to control the water. And yeah, that was one of the first things that we learned, was how to control the water when you're creating a wash. And remembering that, I remembered that we just used way more water than I was using. So of course this is all subjective. There is such thing as using too much water, and it's all about finding that perfect balance for what you need in that moment. So I highly suggest that it's something that you play with, but this might be an issue that you are struggling with. If it's something that you're really dealing with, having uneven washes, and you know you're using good paper, because I find that paper tends to be the very first step, but you're still struggling, this might be a small cure. It might be something that can fix that. But yeah, now that I've been really analyzing how I actually paint, how I actually pick up the paint, I was thinking about it and realizing that I'll mix up the paint so everything is nicely mixed together, the water and the pigments, and then I would scrape off most of that paint back into the palette, and then I would just like dry brush it down and then go right back in and then scrape off the water and then go back in, and it wasn't fun. But now that I am using a lot more of that paint, it just flows so nicely. It's so comfortable to be able to get a wash that I know is going to be smooth. So when I'm working on the face, I feel confident going into it, because I know I put enough water already down so that when I need to revisit an area and reconnect it with other areas that I've already painted, I can, because there's enough water there. And this is just seriously a testament to going back to the basics always, because this is something that like I felt like I'd used watercolors enough. I'm proficient at it. I understand it. That I didn't need to go back to the basics, go back to studying that. And this was just so eye-opening that yes, going back to the basics, revisiting those things that I learned back in school when I was taking the class, that is something that I need to be able to continue pushing my skill level and the quality of my work. If I'm not doing that, then I'm not constantly reinforcing that base skill level that I have. So yeah, hopefully now that I'm paying more attention to that, now that I've unlocked that problem that I've been having, hopefully it'll mean that I'll be able to start focusing more on more advanced techniques. I have definitely found that I've gotten a little lazy with learning new techniques, with pushing myself, and even just in the last month or so where I've been really committed to trying to get the right kind of wash down and controlling the water again, I found that I just feel so much more excited about slowly taking my time with my pieces so that I can develop it out more. I can put more layers down. I can try to get more finessed gradiated washes. So this is definitely inspiring me to dig out the notes that I have from when I took that class so that I can go back and rework on some of those things that I have realized I've been kind of avoiding, like gradiated washes. That's where you are going from one paint color to another and you're attempting to get it as smooth as possible. Or also if you're going from one paint color to basically water so that it'll fade away to nothing. That is that's something that I haven't really done in a very long time, but it achieves really beautiful effects in watercolors, and I would like to be able to have the skills to do that. So yeah, I think this is just overall a testament to remembering your basics, restudying your basics, and yeah, I feel really, really excited about this, that I can move forward, that I can start actually practicing better. So overall, I have been trying specifically to really focus on what are elements that I can put more effort into so that it turns out better and I can enjoy the process more, I can enjoy the final outcome more. And one of the other things that I've realized is that I've started to just kind of jump past certain glazing layers that I could have used. I tend to go from the base skin color to a single shadow color to a little bit of like an embellishing color for like around the eyes or the fingertips, and it ends up being a much more simplified process and much less finessed. And I love, or at least I used to love, where I could spend a lot of time slowly building up the layers so that the variations of skin colors and shadows were much more finesse, I guess, or just soft or controlled, and I tried to really pay attention to that, specifically in this painting where I was painting her skin with several different variations of greens, blues, and purples, and I was trying my best to make sure that the shadows were more delineated, had a softer edge to them when they needed to be soft, or if it was a hard edge shadow because it was like a cast shadow, then it could be that as well. And I enjoyed it so much more. It's just exciting to be able to feel like there's certain things that I am getting a little bit better at that I can enjoy. And the background where I did the wet on wet, where I drop in this very granulating paint color, I really love that, and I don't do that very often. So I do want to embrace the techniques that really make watercolors beautiful, that make them look like watercolors, that make them really shine. So yeah, I would love to hear from you guys if there's any specific techniques or effects with watercolors that you particularly love or that are really challenging and you're trying to figure out. I just want to know more things that I would like to also practice. So yeah, let me know what you're working on, what you're paying attention to, what you're striving for with your own artwork. And don't forget, I do have the original painting as well as prints of Heartlock That's the piece that I worked on today, available at my shop. So there is a link down in the description that'll take you over there so you can check that out. I love how this turned out, so I'm really excited to be able to share this as a print. And of course, as always, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my patrons over on Patreon. I can't thank you guys enough for the support that you show me, for being there for me. And yeah, I am extremely grateful for that. So thank you, all of you. But yeah, that is about it for today. So I will see you guys at my next video. Thanks for watching.